I want you to listen to this report.
In the tech sector, artificial intelligence is rewriting the rules of employment. Tech giant Hewlett-Packard, or HP, is set to undertake a major global restructuring, announcing plans to cut up to 6,000 jobs by 2028.
Companies are quickly adopting AI in the workplace, and white-collar jobs, well, they are evaporating. This week, one of the nation's largest employers, Amazon, made its message to office employees quite clear. Amazon, of course, isn't alone. Big companies are realizing they can reduce headcount and cut costs without risking productivity. And this could just be the tip of the iceberg.
Artificial intelligence is taking jobs, and that is not a prophecy anymore. It is happening as we speak. Let me show you a new report from the US. It traces monthly layoffs in the United States, and look at the data for October. More than 150,000 jobs were cut last month. Look at the last 12 months. The picture is worse. The United States lost more than 1 million jobs in this period.
Job security no longer exists. I mean, the reality of labor has changed. And not because people are lazy. No. I mean, not because today we are lazy compared to those in the past. Example, our parents. No. But because the global structure of labor itself has shifted. But the good news is that this era does not have to threaten your future. No, it doesn't. What I want to share in this video is to help you to have a right mindset, and then later on to build the right habits. And that right habit will be useful to building your career, and particularly to give your career stability, to give your career adaptability, because we're in a difficult time, and as well to give your career or job meaning, even in these uncertain times. Let me outline the global shift in labor, and I want you to pay attention. Fundamentally, the fundamental shift is that now work has moved from predictable to dynamic. Predictable to dynamic. And I want you to note these terms. They are very important. Now, there are three global forces that actually shape job security, meaning transforming now work from predictability to dynamic, because work now is dynamic. And I want to mention some of these forces. Now, number one, automation and artificial intelligence. Importantly now, there are some jobs that people used to do. Now machines have taken over. That is, machines now performed tasks humans used to do. And interestingly, they do them faster, cheaper, and actually without rest and without much risk, because with people you need to have a lot of things like insurance, like the issue of ethics in work and so many things. But if you have a machine, no problem. The machine keep working 24 hours, no problem. So that is a key force that has shaped work now from what we know work to used to be predictable, now is dynamic because machines have taken over what humans used to do before. The second force is the economic volatility. Very crucial point as well. Now, what we have seen in recent years from pandemics, for example, the COVID-19, which is just recent COVID-19, and conflict. We've seen conflict around the world, to inflation, conflict like the Russia-Ukraine war, the Israel-Gaza, and we have many other conflicts around the world. They have shaped global economies. Now, many global economies are like the waves, unpredictable and fast. I want to focus also on the third force, which is a rise in flexible workforce. This is also very important. The rise in flexible workforce. Before, we used to see these kind of permanent jobs that somebody can stay the entire of his or her life, and at the end of the day, you have pension. But now many companies are not interested in that kind of jobs. But today we have contract work, remote teams. Many jobs also are outsourced. And again, we have the gig work, or what we call the gig economy. Now, this gig economy is focused, they are work that has to, they are project-based, they are short-term, and they are also particularly on demand. That means, unlike the usual traditional way of working, whereby you can go to work in the morning, sometimes if there are not much work in the office, you can just sit down and do nothing. Now, companies don't want that. That means they want a system whereby they will be employing people based on the job or work on demand. And because of all this, we have gradually shifted away from the old promise of a job for a life, meaning, or a lifetime job. And these forces have shaped what we today are seeing in the labor market. There's something I need to point out very importantly, that the world now, because the world is shifting. And if you're hearing me now, I want you to understand that, because if you are not dynamic, remember I told you fundamentally, work now has shifted from predictable to dynamic. So you also will have to shift in the way this world is moving. So the world no longer rewards people for having a job, not just having a job. No. But it rewards people for bringing value. So that means if you must survive into this world, you will have to shift to those areas that machines can replace to you. They have taken some jobs that humans used to do, but that means you have to shift to the work that the machines can do. And then work also that will be resistant to some of the shocks of what we're seeing in the world today. The pandemics, the conflicts, the inflations, and as well, you will position yourself in this area, because there's a rise in this work that are flexible. So if you can position yourself in this area with that contract jobs, to be someone who is in the gig economy, and then you will definitely going to survive what is happening today. Now, many employees still expect, they're still hoping, they're still praying. What are they praying for? They're still praying for the 1980s stabilities. You can imagine it. You can't sit down and be expecting. This will be a false hope because you can't expect the 1980s stability in a 2025 world. Some employees, on the other hand, are already afraid. They are panicked with the recent trends of layoffs. But you see, the truth of the matter is job insecurity is not solved by panic. No, it's not solved by panic. It is solved by preparation. It is solved by preparation. You understand where the world is going, and then you prepare for the future that you are seeing unveiling before your face. Now, what are the mind shifts? The mind shift. Yes, because we need to have a mindset shift. Mindset shift. Particularly, I'm talking to employees. What are these mindset shifts we need to make? There is need to stop thinking like an employee. The days of thinking like an employee is over. Even if you are an employee now, you must stop thinking like an employee. Like one who is thinking, when I finish, I will have my pension, I will have this. Stop thinking that way. We're in a different generation now. You have to, or you must start thinking like a contributor. A contributor. One that solves problems. That's how you're supposed to start thinking. Even if you have an employment now, the question is, ask yourself, what are the problems? What problems do I solve? And I've asked many young people these questions. When they come, they say, everywhere there is no money, everywhere is terrible, everywhere is this. I ask them the question, what are you providing? What problems are you solving? That's where they will start stammering. You see, complaining will not solve any problem. The second question you need to ask yourself is, what value do I bring? What value? These are questions of a contributor. What result can I deliver consistently? Means you must have mastered and you would have had a skill that you have mastered, and also the ability to provide solution that you can be able to deliver result constantly. I must be sincere with you. When you think like a contributor, what will happen is that even if you have an employment, you will stop depending on that employment, that job. You will stop depending, understand, on that job for security. Instead, you will start to carry your security with you, because now you are the entity, you are the result, you are the solution. So you will carry your security anywhere you go. And it is key that you have a mental shift. Employees need to have this mindset shift for you to be able to do well in this era of change, in this era of how the world is volatile, in this era on how AI is taking over certain jobs, in how the companies and the workforce are shifting into another different type of what we call the flexibility workforce, whereby you can outsource from anywhere in the world. You can be able to hire anyone in the world. You will do the job and then send the result. You must have to strategically position yourself. And this is very important, and I want you to know there are some practical things I want you to focus on. Very importantly, I want to summarize the practical things you should do in 4 points. Now, number one, the first thing I want you to do, especially to become relevant in this era, is to build skills that are not yet automated, or that is difficult to be automated, or that is difficult for AI to replace or to substitute. What that means is that we know that machine can replace tasks, but there are certain things that machines can do, like empathy, leadership, creativity, and so many other things. Particularly, I want you to strategically invest in skills that make you human. That make you human. Of course, definitely, you know that as long as we are on earth, there's no how that machines can replace every human job. No. So you will see that you have an advantage. You have a competitive edge when you invest in skills that is difficult for machines to replace. Machines, there are certain attributes that are human, deeply human, that even if a machine is produced today that can do those things, won't be able to do them as humans would do. So I want you to, probably I will do a separate video that talks about those skills and those things that are difficult to replace. But that's the first point. The second point is to stay valuable. And I think this point is important. That is to stay valuable. And how will you do that? By staying updated. This is one of the things that many people find it difficult to do, because the world is moving very fast. And as many of the students that are listening to me, you need to pay attention, because if you're not careful, by the time you finish your degree, you are outdated already, because you must have been past knowledge that are outdated, because the world is moving fast. That means you have to stay very valuable by staying updated with the trend, with how things are moving, because you don't want to stay outdated. Your degree, definitely, you have to understand this, that your degree was not the finish line. And if you are still if you are still in school now, your degree is not the finish line. Your degree is a starting point. And if you're already working now, you have gone to school, your degree was your starting point. Don't think that immediately you are awarded a degree and that means you're already a specialist. No. That is just the starting point. Workers who thrive today are definitely those who have a habit of consistent learning. And this is important, and I want you to pay attention to this, because this, you can't replace it. You just have to keep learning, So when you develop a habit, I have seen many of my students, when you are talking, say, sir, I don't know how to read. I don't like reading. You don't like reading? Then be ready for a horrible life. you must have to stay updated. You must have to stay with what is what is going on around the world, especially in the area of labor. The third point is to build a reputation. To build a reputation. You have to be careful, especially with, today's world. Once you do something wrong and it's already in the internet, it will stay there forever. So you must learn to build a reputation, not just a resume. Not just a resume. I have talked about in one of my videos the lies when you enter LinkedIn. You will see, understand, people who they are not working, including my student. They are not working, they are still students, but the kind of things they will say in their bios, what they are doing, what they are able to do, and all that, that will not help you at all. So rather than actually trying to project an image that is not yours, can you build a reputation? A reputation, especially today, in the modern world, in these modern times, reputation is a form of currency. Reputation is a form of currency. And people can easily recommend people they trust. In today's generation, even though we have this AI revolution, trust is one thing that you should never trade for anything. You must ensure that you are reliable. You must ensure that you deliver excellence. You must show you honor your words. Don't be double-tongued. Don't be double-minded. Don't be a person who will say this and then will go, and people will realize that you are saying another different thing in a different location and a different circumstance. No, that's not a good thing. Be known for something. And in this case, be known that you are reliable. Be known that you are trustworthy. The fourth thing that is key is that you create a multiple stream of stability. Now, I want you to note the point here. I'm not saying multiple streams of income. I am saying multiple streams of stability. They're not the same. Don't just only be focused about thinking about money, because your desire is to be stable, especially in an uncertain times like this. Because if it is just income, once there is inflation or pandemic or anything, you can just wipe it out. We have seen many businesses that have been wiped out during the COVID-19 pandemic. But the good thing about it, there are many who bounce back. And what are the people who bounce back? Are people who have stability, people who have developed themselves to have the ability to create impact. So even if what they have is lost, they can create something again. But if you're not able to do that, that's a problem in case of a disaster. So you are not to think that when you are developing yourself and adding other extra skills that will help you become more stable, that you are betraying your employer. No. You're not betraying your employer. You are actually protecting your future. You're protecting the future of your family. You're protecting the future of people who are looking up to you and who are depending on you. An important thing I want to leave with you is that I don't want you to be afraid of this era. If you're an employee, don't be afraid that your job will be taken away from you. This era should be embraced. You should be happy that you are living in a generation that we have these possibilities. You should be excited. So embrace it. Build skills that are relevant. Build relationships. Yeah. Quality, reliable relationships. Build value. Build yourself. If you do that, you will discover that you may lose your job. Yes, in times of difficulty, you may lose your job because the days are uncertain, the days are unreliable. But because you have already prepared well, you have already built yourself, built relationship, built value, built capacity, you will never be able to lose the ability to create impact. And that's what I'm talking about. That is, even if you lose your job, even if even if something just suddenly appear, you will discover that after when the dust settles, you have the ability again to create value, to create impact. Because the impact is not in a place, the impact is in you. That's what I'm leaving with you. That don't be afraid of what is happening. Just ensure that it steers you to prepare well.